got this scene, which is obviously linked with the fact that it's a hospital. You have this angel going down to stir the water. Now, healing happens at several levels. There is a very thin frontier, actually, between those levels at times. You watch, as you go through life, who is more likely to bounce back. The immune system of a person who is stressed, very tired, depressed, is far lower than one who is beaming with joy, is looking after himself, and is also, yes, in a state of divine grace. One can actually see a lot in a person's face already. Look into a person's eyes. Look at the person's forehead. Long worry leaves a trace. And also an unpleasantness inside, after a while, takes a form in the face. On the other hand, some are blessed with a natural disposition. It helps greatly, but it's not enough. We have all seen people in pain, in great pain, and yet beaming. We have seen others who have many things in life and are always unpleasant. There's always something missing. They are their own worst enemy. We have a choice. There's an old saying that today is the tomorrow that yesterday I worried about. Worry is an element that causes stress and overtime with regard to the energy and the work of the mind. Strangely enough, I was struck by two sentences of two not particularly spiritual men, although one actually had a strange sort of interior life from what we gather, but very well known in the world. They've both died, one by being shot, the other from cancer. I'd like to zoom into a word which not before dying of that cancer, not long before, George Harrison said, because he was interviewed very well. He was asked some quite penetrating questions and he answered them well. One thing which hit me was what he said with regard to what we do with the damage that we do to our own way through life. We are, he maintained, right now living in two times. We are damaging the present by our trying to work out the future. And he put it this way: it's getting in the way. And that phrase hit me. Tomorrow gets in the way. We don't live where we are. It's profoundly, profoundly true. Look at your interior life. Is it or is it not true? What do you think about right now? Resting on the now. It's rather like St. John in the upper room, resting on the breast. He was happy just to be there in the here and now of peace. But then the other, John Lennon, came in with this way before George Harrison, because he'd already died around 1980. And he had this one, which is also profoundly true. Life is what happens when you're planning what to do next. I repeat that. Remember it. It's neutral and it's true. Life is what happens when you're planning what to do next. And you watch how much planning goes on to have joy, how much money is spent to have a good holiday, to have automatic joy. And then observe the holiday when it comes. A big argument erupts. Where's the joy? At home sometimes there's more joy being close to someone who's just there for you without any expense added. The joy of simple things. So, one element which destroys our peace and creates stress is worry, which is also a misconception of our power. Worry is a self-defense mechanism that God has planted in our being to avert major disaster. The drug addict has no worry. It's all for the next dose. Who cares? I must have it. There's no more worry. Actually, it's come now into childhood. If you watch what is now happening, what was very important to us in growing up, doing well in exams, in some cases is not really there anymore. The satisfaction of whatever it may be, usually in the virtual, has taken over and obliterated everything else. I'm having a good time now, I'm going to stay on this tablet or whatever it might be. Even in early childhood, this is my world and there's no worry about anything else. So that's the absence of worry. But the correct use of worry is to live now in the inclusive mode of preparing tomorrow. We have to prepare a journey, we have to prepare exams, we have to prepare a sermon. We have to be prepared. And so in the now, we do what is our duty of state for that moment. There is order in time. We live well under God, what He has given us as our stewardship of our part of time and creation. We have a responsibility for one part of the world for a while. Mammy and Daddy have a specific one. A teacher has one. A priest has one. We all have our area. We must do well what we have to do. God is using us as stewards of that part of His creation, but we do it with Him. We do it one action at a time. I make a jump. Our prior in Italy said one time when he saw me always wanted to do straight away what I had to do, he said in French, il faut faire une chose après l'autre. We have to do one thing after another. You can't do two at the same time. And that's what we're doing quite a lot of the time, if we're honest. And by the way, if we have to have something in the background with regard to noise, call it if you like radio, or even some kind of holy CD, always there are too many messages in our brain. We can't handle all that in one go. We don't do well one or the other. There is peace in a simplification of the messages in the mind, and it gives a certain freedom and joy to repose in the grace of the present moment. So, to be aware, stress is made from giving ourselves deadlines, and often we've made them ourselves. Again, in Italy I was told by my superior, you have to learn not to have to do everything straight away. It's bringing stress. There's a good saying in Ireland, isn't there? And I'll finish with this. The good man who made time made plenty of